All right, let's see if we can do this again. We need to make an octopus. This time we're going to draw it. We don't want it to be too big. And we figured out that even though an octopus has 8 legs, 8 is too many to try to fit into this type of pendant because there's just not room. Even in a real octopus, you're usually not going to see all 8 legs completely visible at the same time because half of them are going to be behind their back or behind something's. One tentacle will be behind another part of another tentacle, and so on. So this might be the closest we can get, and people still understand it's an octopus even if they can't count all 8 at once. So I'm feeling good about this. Maybe a little bit more there. Maybe a little bit more there. Maybe a little bit thicker here. Let's not get too crazy. It's hard to make this wire really thin the way we're going to hammer it out. Maybe make his head a little smaller. Maybe have the arms come up a little higher. Okay, does that look a little better? You like this? Is this good? Do we enjoy this? Are you entertained? Yes, maybe a little bit more going on there. Okay, I think we're ready. And we're going to use the regular pure aluminum, which has a silver color this time. This is 14 gauge. It's a little bit thinner than the 12 gauge we did last time we tried this octopus. And so I definitely need to take a lot. I don't know how much. So to be on the safe side, I'm going to take like an entire meter, which is like 3 feet. Okay? And let's see. And then we'll come to bring the 2 ends together so we can find the exact middle. And at that middle, we'll make a little loop for the top part. That'll be the top loop. And make it kind of big in case we need to scarf it a little bit. And we'll start to make the head. Now we're going to actually shape it right off of this guy. We're going to see if we can do this. Can we do it? Is it possible? And as you shape it, it's gonna move off of your design, off and on. You got to overkill the loops to get them really tight. So make sure you have a lot of table space. I'm already bumping into stuff. Move this. So see, to get this, I'm actually overdoing. And one way I did before is just to make long, skinny fingers coming out, and then do the bends afterwards. But I'm going to try it this way, where I actually do form every little part of every arm as I make it. See if that comes out any better. Now we got to focus on getting it very tight, because it doesn't want to be tight. It wants to be fat and stick out more. And so we need to get our pliers in here a little bit and really pull on it at different key places to really get those tight loops in there. See that? And now I just went up and down and up, and meanwhile this giant piece of like 1.5 feet of wire is just being swept back and forth across my entire table. My table was as messy as it was at some points. I've been knocking over all kinds of things. So see, and you got to be firm with yourself. Don't be like, close enough, because after you hammer it, it's going to spread out even more. So get these little ridges very tight. You got to hold them in key places and bend against the pliers. Just holding it straight down perpendicularly, and then I'm bending it against where I'm holding it. See that? All right, pressing it flat, and we're sweeping it around again, and right, banging the camera, banging the cord, banging everything. But I think we finally have the top part of the first arm. Oh my goodness! Even this, I'm going to overextend it like that, and then hold it like that, so I can get that bend in there really tight. See that? You guys, it'll be easier for you guys because you don't have a camera to bang, hopefully. Right? So it's getting there. It's getting pretty close to the drawing, but it's a lot of bendy. That's okay. It'll be worth it in the end. You'll see. Hopefully. If not, then I'll just run away to a foreign country and you'll never find me. So you won't be able to say, "Ha! I knew it wouldn't be worth it," and you won't see me cry. You'll never see me cry. And if you heard a rumor I cried, I'll deny it, and you'll have no proof, because I will be in another country, far away from the camera. Now it's gonna be really hard to get that tight, really tight spot between the arms there. And the way to do it is, let's get in there. What you want to first, make sure the rest of it is all spaced the way you want. Like this, I want this stoiter. Squeeze that, pinch that a little. Be careful when you pinch it. And curl that a little more now. And then push this back. It's a lot of pushing back and forth. You fix one spot and everything else gets wonked out. That's okay. You fix the spot you really want to fix and let everything else get wonked out. You push everything back. Okay, it's a very noble struggle. Okay, so now we're in this little underarm part, right? We got to get it folded completely over as tight as possible. See if we can do it. See that? Now just pinch it. Look at that. See what I did? Are you not impressed? Let's move everything back. Okay, see, it's still going to be a little bit fatter than the drawing because this wire is fat. So I'm not shaming the wire. The wire, I don't know if the wire had a good diet or not, but let's just be honest. The wire is fat. This is 14 gauge. Make sure you do aluminum. If you try to do this in copper, oh my gosh, your fingers will go they'll get so strong, it'll be like scary. I hope that was all on camera. If it wasn't, just imagine from my voice what was happening. Okay, so again, we're overdoing this. We're coming around. Ugh. All right. And we're just coming around all the way around to get that curve really tight in there, or even pinch that curve, even though we're going to come back out of it like this. Right? So you can use a thinner gauge even. You can use a 16 gauge aluminum, and if you're doing something this crazy, you might not have to work as hard as I am, but I like working hard for you guys. It just makes me feel important. So I'm going to keep doing the rest of these legs, arms, whatever they are, tentacles. Okay, here's where I'm at. No matter how much I tried, I could not make the wire match the marker exactly. So you just got to go with the wire. And at the end of the day, look at the wire and make sure the wire is the way you like it, because you're not going to cut out this piece of paper and glue it to your piece, or worse yet, carry the notebook around and make the poor woman wear this whole notebook around her neck. That just wouldn't be fair. So your drawing is just a guide. And now here's another dilemma. Maybe I should have started at the beginning of the wire. Because I started in the middle of the wire, I'm out of wire. I did 4 of my 5 legs, arms, whatever they are, and this is not enough wire to make the 5th one, let alone come back to finish the head. So see how much wire this is? So I'm going to do something different. I was going to put some little cute beads in the middle, but I think I'm going to do something equally, what I would say is cute, and start curly cueing the end of this wire, right? So it's just gently make a loop and then just start rolling it. You can roll it with the pliers or your fingers. Now I want this to be an open curly cue, so I'm not making it super tight. I'm leaving, a little bit of space around it. In fact, I want to adjust it right there, make it open a little bit more right there. Okay, say that. So, right, and now if we fold this up right into his head, voila, he has now a swirly mouth octopus. So cute. And that'll help hold the structure together later if I wire the that part to that part. And I forgot how to talk. Anyway, so now we have a lot of wire on this side left, and we need to make the other side of his head, and we can use that to make the last leg, and then figure out how we're going to attach everything so it's not just bizarrely weird. Now, I don't like to cross. You don't want to cross wires before your hammer. If you do, you got to avoid hammering that part, and then it looks different. It's flat, 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 not flat, and then you have to decide if you want to hammer up there, and it's still risky. If you hammer directly over 2 wires crossing, you will create a very weak spot that will 5 times out of 6 it'll break. And if it doesn't break now, it might break later after you sell it to the person, which is even worse. You have a nice sharp end coming out to scratch them, and then they have to take you to court. It's a big mess. So I was thinking, watch this. We'll take this and just bend it like this. Sorry, this big long piece is banging everywhere. I can't even get it under the camera. So we'll bend it like this. So we still have the loop, but we'll have like a little skinny part here. And then this long piece is just driving me nuts. I need like an independent camera person to hold the camera and hold it way up over my head so I can flop all this wire everywhere and not bump the camera. But anyway, man, people are getting loud around here too. They need to go away. So like that, now I can hammer it and it's not crossing. Plus that little indentation there, I think will hold the scarf better. If you don't know what the scarf is, that's when I come up with the last piece of wire and wrap it to close everything and hold it all together, keep it tight. Hoi! So, we're going to make this more dramatic. Bend this over. Hold it right there. We want a fairly big loop. Actually, that's not true. If the neck is good there, that's probably good. That's probably plenty right like that. Okay. So I think that is good, and now we'll use this to make the rest of his side of his head. Right? Let's see. Let's roll that up in there. Not terrible. Not terrible. Do you guys think it's terrible? I think it's not quite terrible. We just got to make the last leg and then figure out how to bring it all together. Since I'm just making this up as I go. I mean, you guys think I'm joking when I say I'm making it up as it's literally I'm making it up as I go. So let's see if we can form this last tentacle arm leg. I think it's easier if you just call it a tentacle arm leg. T-A-L, towel. We're gonna form this last towel. It rhymes with pal, because an octopus is your pal, and he has 8 towels. See, remember that. Tell your parents. You learned something on this channel. It's actually really relaxing forming these loops once you just get into it. And actually, doing it over paper is nice because you don't scratch anything, as opposed to like trying to do it on a tabletop that you might worry about scratching. So I really came up with a winning situation here, forming these towels. Another thing I found, you can't see this because the camera doesn't follow me, but if I just hold this up in the air and hold it like closer to my face and work on it, it's actually kind of relaxing and soothing, and you don't really need to hold it against the table. You just start putting the pliers in here, bending it back and forth. This is actually, it's like molding clay. This is quite a relaxing medium, this aluminum wire. So just telling you. Okay, now I'm in a dilemma. Maybe you can see it better like this. So I'm happy with all of this, but now I need to get this wire up to here to scarf him, and it's down here. So, any ideas? You want to shout something into the screen? And hopefully I'll hear it in reverse time. Time traveling. I'm really excited. I love this just the way it is, but it's not. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna finish it. You know what? I think I'm just gonna... Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. It's wild. Bear with me, okay? I'm just gonna hammer it all, right? Hammer it all. Except for this ending piece. This ending piece, I'm gonna, after everything's hammered, I'm gonna wrap it behind the back, across the back, his back right there, right? I'm gonna wrap it back there, and then come up across here and use 2 little beads to give him some eyes. But they have to be beads with fat holes to get this aluminum, which means ceramic beads. And then, so he'll be wrapped around, he'll get his eyes, and then I'll come up there and finish by scarfing it. Okay, so never fear. I think this is gonna work. Let's get to the hammering. For those of you who haven't seen this type of video with the hammering before, we either steal a little baby anvil from some Keebler elves, or we just get a block of metal you can buy for jewelry hammering, or you just find an old like metal hinge and nail it to a block of wood. But whatever you use, make sure you put some soft stuff underneath it. Preferably don't do it on a weak or rickety table. It's best to do it on the ground, on some like hard concrete. But whatever you do it on, put really soft stuff underneath, and it should dull the sound and protect what's underneath. So, and then just start hitting it with any hammer. Really, you can get a nice jewelry hammer. I just got this from like an old drawer. Might have been, they used to sell hammers at the dollar store back in the day. I used to buy a bunch of little baby ones. I don't know if they still do, but anyway, let's hammer this out. So how hard do you hammer? You just, as much as you want. Like, it strengthens it a little bit. You could just give it a few taps, but as you see it start to flatten out, you really just want it to be evenly flattened as you hammer it all the way around. So maybe you want to give it 2 or 3 hits per couple millimeters, and maybe you want to flip it over and do the other side, or maybe not, because sometimes one side looks smoother that was against here. If you the texture from the hammer hitting different parts and making little lines makes it look cool. But if you don't like the texture, someone said you could put some saran wrap over it and try hitting it that way. Anyway, we're going to do this part.
I'll do it.
Okay, I'm not sure if the camera was on or off, but what I was saying was, after you hammer it, stuff moves all out of place and you got to move it back and sculpt it some more, which is fine. Anyway, yep. Alright, let's see if this works. Got him. There he is. And the scarfing is holding. It's working really well. And that's good enough a couple times around. And now we're going to cut it in the back. I got right to the end of the part where I hammered it, so that's what I wanted. I'm going to cut it halfway across the loop. And then we're going to tuck in the sharp end right into that little crevice made by the scarfing. Tuck it in, pinch it tight, make sure all the sharpness is shoved in there deep. Hold it from different angles, and then test it. Make sure you don't get any scratch at all. All right. And there we go. Let's move that arm down a little bit. Okay, it's a good thing I got that little curlicue there, because this fits right in like that, but it keeps wanting to pop out. So I knew we were going to have to do a little of this. Those eyes are not exactly where I want either. Let's see if we can... they're pretty tight. They pretty much want to stay where they are. But they're close enough. What I'm going to do is take some very thin, like 26 gauge wire and just wrap right in there and get those last parts tight. But the rest of it is pretty good. Maybe on the next one I'll figure out how to do it all in one piece of wire without needing to add anything. Got about a foot of 26 gauge. Silver plated. I think it's silver plate copper, but this is the middle of the wire. Threaded it through there once. And now we're just going to wrap it around here. And you make a little loop here and press it through to get it. Come on, get in there. There we go. And pull it out the other side. Come around again. And do that a few times if you want to make it tight. Just pulling it, give it a lot of tension as you do it. But 2 or 3 times around is good. Now that spot is held. I'm going to come around a few more times with this side. It's really the same thing. I'm just wrapping a nice little tightness right there. But the wire's so thin and it blends in so nicely, you're really not going to notice it. You'll be paying attention to the beautiful octopus. Oh, I really like how this came out. So we'll wrap this wire a few more times, then we'll curl it up in a little curlicue. Each sharp end, we'll just curl it up in a little curlicue in the back. Put a little 86,000, boom, we're done. Just cut off each end. I didn't even need that much wire. I thought I was going to have to thread a lot of pieces, but that one little spot pretty much held it. If yours doesn't come out the same, it's hard to say it'll come out exactly like this, because this was all weird and wonky and experimental. But, just wrap a few ends if you need to. You can use this 26 gauge to, really cover over a multitude of mistakes. So now I'm just going to take this end here and just turn it into a little curlicue, just like I did before. Just make a little pinch and then start rolling it sideways. Curlicue. As soon as it's a curlicue, just push it against somewhere in the back. You won't see it. Drop it E6000. Bam, and we're done. All done. One more thing, I do want to give these guys a little bit of a 3D look. Let's just bend them a little bit of a curl back and forth like this. The tentacles, or what do we call them? Towels? The towels, T-A-L. Just give them a little bit of a curly bend, not overdo it. Just so they look like they're dancing a little bit on the person who wears them. Kind of fun, right? Yeah. Cool.